Yes, we are live. Okay, so today I just posted on the Global Classroom WhatsApp group hashtag Ask Me Anything, and I said that three people can ask me questions. They can DM me, and I will be going live on YouTube answering their questions. So I do have two other people also asking me questions, but they are more personal. Whereas Benjamin Amisa, he asked me a question which I could go live and everybody would benefit from this question. So he's written to me that he has been assigned as the role of services action coordinator, and he wanted to know how he can properly coordinate with the different year groups in the MYP. So I thought that I will have this session where I will be discussing about services action in the MYP, their requirements for services action according to for getting ready for authorization, and also schools that are preparing for evaluation, then what are the requirements for evaluation. So my main session today would be answering these two questions and also looking at different resources that you could refer to in order to know more about services action. So I'm sharing my screen right now. I have created a presentation. So I use AI tools. This is a paid AI tool that I'm using, that you are seeing right now on screen. It is called Gamma dot app, and you just put in some uh, content on it, and it will create for you a presentation which is very visually appealing. You can select any theme, and based on that theme, it will provide you with slides. And you can also, this is a paid subscription right now. So you can also decide how many slides you want for your presentation. So I have created this presentation with the help of Gamma.ai and Perplexity. Okay, I have also used documents, IB documents, guide to school authorization, uh, guide to evaluation. Okay, no, sorry, program standards and practices, and yeah, uh, yes, and I will be also sharing with you this particular website, which you will find on faria.edu, which also provides the manage back. Okay, so we start with the presentation. So services action is one of the key components of the IB MYP, and schools are required to meet some expectations or requirements for this during authorization and also for evaluation. Now, what are the main requirements? So the schools that go in for authorization, they follow the program standards and practices 2014. So these are the standards which you will see in bold. Uh, you have to show it in either in progress or some evidence while implementing the program. So standard A5, which is for philosophy, it says that school must establish and document a clear plan for services action. So how are you going to implement services action in the MYP? In this, you should also include how students will engage in different service experiences throughout the MYP years. So in MYP 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, what are the students going to do for services action? Okay, so it is recommended that you have a student handbook for services action, and I will share one sample here. This is a services action handbook. I have shared I've shared the link in the presentation also. If you just Google services action handbook, this would be one of the handbooks that is available online. Okay, so this is from Kato Gakuen Gyoshu High School Bilingual Program. Okay, so this particular school uh, gives this MYP Services Action Handbook for their students. So in this you will find what is MYP Services Action, what are the learning outcomes, What are the responsibilities of the students? What are the stages for service as action? How do I start my service as action program? How do I act on my service as action activities? What should I do after I finish the activity? What are some examples of service as action activity? What is the service as action calendar? So this school has created a service as action calendar. Most schools have the personal project calendar. They also have their assessment calendar. Now it's a good idea. I think this is a good uh, action that you can take, or a system that you can implement, where you have a services action calendar. In the appendices, you have services action personal profile of the student, you have the supervisor approval form, and you have the services action planning chart. So if you go through detail, you will be able to understand how services action takes place in this particular school. Okay, so this is a very good services action handbook that I found online. Another services action handbook that when you say services action handbook, you will find one of NES International School. So this particular services action handbook is also really good. You can see the different contents of this handbook. Services action in IB programs, the learning outcomes. So just like how the IBDP has 7 learning outcomes, there are 7 learning outcomes in the MYP2 for service. The 5 stages of service planning. How does services action look at in this particular school? What is the services action in the MYP 1 to 5? What will be the monitoring of the service activity, whether it is qualitative monitoring, quantitative monitoring, procedure for student initiated activity. Okay, so there are certain requirements for services action. There has to be some school initiated activities, some student initiated activities that the school should have as a part of their services action program. They also have the services action learning outcomes progression grid, the personal inventory, finding a cost. So these things are really interesting, and they have good examples given over here. So you can take inspiration from here and think about creating your services action handbook if you don't have one. Okay, so that is about implementation. So for implementing something, you need to have systems in place. You need to have a handbook that you could give to your students which they can follow. Okay, now in that handbook you will also have the role of the student. You can have the role of the supervisor also. In the MYP guide to authorization, what I did is I downloaded this and then Control F and I said service. So when you go there, this is the first. Wait, this is not the first one. Okay. So if you see over here, the very first standard that you can see is the school promotes responsible action within and beyond the school community. Standard A5, services action in IB program. So that is what I wrote over here. There has to be some document, or school must establish a clear plan for services action. Okay. Now the second uh, thing is here. The school's organization structure supports the implementation of all subject groups offered by the school, approaches to learning, service, and the personal project or community project. That means the school organization structure uh, includes leadership, or supports the has a structure which supports the implementation of ATL, service, and personal project. So schools may have these positions. So I know that Benjamin's school has that position, and he has taken that position of services action coordinator. So this will fulfill this particular standard, standard B16A. So that's why I have written over here, coordinator and supervisor role. A designated coordinator oversees services action implementation and supervises student activities, standard B16A. Is it 6A? Yes, 7. Standard B16A. Okay, so this is how you do. And can you see an X over here? When there is an X over here, it means that you have to make sure that this requirement is there at the time of authorization. Okay, it's a requirement. You should have it. So now next, what is the next requirement for service? The written curriculum allows for meaningful student action in response to students' own needs and the needs of others. So if you see standard C2 written curriculum 5. So my next point here, written curriculum, unit plans demonstrate that students are provided with opportunities through inquiry to participate in services action in each year of the MYP, standard C2 5. So if you see over here, standard C2 5. Can you see? Now this has to be in progress. So you should have something to show in the written curriculum, that some unit plans which show service. Um are there people over here who are experienced MYP teachers and have taught the MYP for quite a few years and can give me some examples of how they meet this requirement of the written curriculum, where unit plans demonstrate that students participate in service as action? Anyone? I can give example of my what I used to do, but I would like people over here participating over here to also contribute. Anyone? Anhar? I know Dr. Anis is also in an MYP school. Tasmeen is also in an MYP school. So how do you meet this requirement? Unit plans show.
Sorry, but your voice is lagging. I was trying to fix the internet problem. Can you repeat the question again?
So the question is, how do you show services action in your unit plans?
How can I extract the topics, Yani? Do you mean how can I find the ideas for the community search from my subject?
Yes. So in the written curriculum, according to standard C25 of authorization document, okay, it says that the unit plan should demonstrate that students are provided with opportunities through inquiry to participate in services action in each year of the MYP. That means through your units, you have to give them chance to participate in services action. So do you have any examples that you do?
For me, I used to use the survey or the investigation and ask the students, try to make a survey and ask the teachers and the students and the parents and friends about the most common problems that they are trying to find solutions for. And after giving me number of problems, I'm trying to find which one can be used through my subjects to give them the knowledge needed and the
Okay.
skills needed to make the community project based on
Okay.
based on يعني, the number or based on the names of the problems in their surveys.
Okay. 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 So you took information for community project.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the most
Okay.
common problems and try to choose which problems can be found in my subject.
Okay. All right. Can anybody give me example in any of the other subjects that you teach? I can give one example in science in MYP 1 that I used to do. But before I share my example, I would want others, if anybody can share an example. You all don't do the MYP? Benjamin? You are an MYP, you are the services action coordinator. How are you going to ensure that teachers teach units which will have scope for services action?
Hello.
Yes, Benjamin.
So for now, okay. Sorry, please, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. What I plan of um of doing now is that I want to liaise with the subject group teachers, and then so that I ask them how students can be able to use the knowledge that they acquire through the unit to help them solve a problem in the in their immediate community, or anywhere that that they find a problem, that they think that that knowledge can help them solve um, that particular problem. So that is what
Okay.
I have in mind. Yes, please.
Okay. Okay. So Dr. Anish has given an example of chemistry. He says green chemistry, students can research and implement sustainable chemistry practices, such as designing experiments that minimize waste or using renewable resources. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Anish. I can give you an example which I used to do. Okay. I used to kill 3 birds with 1 stone, not even 2. Okay. So I taught organ systems to grade 6. So we spoke about digestive system, circulatory system, respiratory system, excretory system. Okay, so these systems were taught. We spoke about different organs in that system, the function of the system as a whole, and we also spoke about organ donation. Okay, so that was one topic where we could do criteria D, uh, reflecting on the impact of science. Okay, so this was one. For science, we did criteria D. So that was 1 stone, 1 bird killed. Okay, the second was we connected this to an IDU. Okay, I took the help of the English teacher and the art teacher, okay, in order to create an IDU for this particular topic. So the main purpose was to persuade our community to donate or to pledge for organ donation. Okay, so then we had to create a poster for organ donation, and you pick a particular organ. The students could pick any one organ and say that we can donate this organ. And their research work was that why this organ is important, can this be donated, if donated, then what is the age group that people can donate, what does really different religions say about organ donation. So this was the science part of it, criteria D part of it. Okay, at the same time, because we want to persuade the community to donate, to promise or pledge for organ donation, we wanted the students to learn persuasion techniques. Okay, so the English teacher taught them the techniques of persuasion, pathos, logos. Okay, to write a poster for organ donation, but using the techniques of persuasion through English. And the art teacher helped us to create the poster. So he or she taught them the different basics of a poster. How should a poster look? What should be the font? What should be the color and all that? The art teacher taught. And our main summative product for that particular unit was creating a poster for persuading people to donate a particular organ. Okay, so that was the task. And so we ticked the IDU also. And for service as action, what we did was we took the posters and we told the students to uh, talk to our school community, the teachers, the students of the higher grades, and our housekeeping staff. Okay, so for the housekeeping staff, we said that you should explain the poster in the language that they speak. So we have a lot of Gujarati and Marathi housekeeping staff, and some of our students also speak Marathi and Gujarati. So we said that, and Hindi. So we told them that you have to create your presentation or talk about your presentation to them in that language. So this was a unit which had a service component, okay, creating awareness about an issue. It had IDU, okay, and it also fulfilled the criteria of criteria D of sciences, at least for me as a science teacher. So this was one example that you could do services action through the units. So you will have to think, when you are planning your unit, there is this section on reflection, right? Prior to teaching. Over there is a question. Can you link this unit to any service as action learning outcome? So think about it. while planning your units, and it is a requirement that there has to be some units in each grade of your subjects, okay, where you are linking service as action to the curriculum. Okay, so that's a requirement. As you can see in this presentation, written curriculum. Okay. Unit plans demonstrate that students are provided with opportunities through inquiry to participate in services action in each year of the MYP. The curriculum provides sufficient opportunities for students to meet the learning outcomes for service in every year of the program. So, you should have a services action program also for the MYP, where you give them opportunity to fulfill the uh, learning outcomes of service. The last thing for authorization is about documentation and evidence. The school has a system for the qualitative monitoring of student involvement in service according to the school's learning expectations for service. So if you look at this particular school's requirement, okay, so they have the qualitative monitoring, okay, how they are going to self monitor, and they have how the procedure for student initiated activities, okay, and this is the learning progression grid. So students should become aware. So they have this description also. So when we have this learning outcome, then in MYP 4 and 5, what are they going to do? They will reflect on their own strengths and weaknesses of whatever service activity they are doing. So this learning grid is also quite interesting and useful. Uh, in my previous school for services action, we had a requirement that students will, there is mandatory requirement of completing school initiated service activities. So we had an activity where after Ganesh Chaturthi, after the fifth day of Ganesh Visarjan, on the sixth day, we used to take our MYP students as well as DP students to clean the beach. Okay, so that was a requirement of the school. So it was a school initiated activity that all students of MYP had to do. Similarly, then about student initiated activities. Now, if you ask every student to have to do an activity, then it would be too much. A supervisor will have so many different activities, they will go crazy. So what I suggested to my students and my homeroom teachers is that uh, as homeroom, students should decide what activity would they want to do. So we gave them one lesson during the week where they would work together for that particular student initiated CAS activity, service activity. Okay. So we had this group of students that loved animals. Okay. So they went to the animal shelter and they asked them, okay, how can we help? What do you need? So the animal shelter said that we don't need food or this, we need some toys for our animals here, the dogs that are there. So what the students did was that, see, it's very easy to get money and donate it. Okay. So instead of doing that the easy way, what they did is that one of the students knew how to do quilling. Okay. So she taught the class students how to do quilling, and then they created greeting cards with the different quilling flowers and things, and then they sold it, these cards that they created during the school events, and with that money at the end of the year they bought toys for the animal shelter. So that was how they used their strengths, okay, and taught each other new skills in order to do generate fund for the service that they wanted to do with the animal shelter. Okay, so think about group activities that they can do which are student initiated. So yes, they are student initiated, but then you don't have all 25 students doing different services and then you going crazy about how to monitor or how to, even if you have to do qualitative, you have to read all the reflections and when you're doing the class also, you have to do it all, but then you know that everybody is doing the same activity, and it is easy to monitor the activity that the students do. Yeah, so that is one tip that you may want to use. Okay, so Dr. Anish says that we did the cookies baking and then sell them using the money for the welfare of the community. Yes, we do. We do also have bake sale. They are quite popular. We had like food festival. So students brought food, cooked food, different food from their homes, and then sold that during the lunch break or short break. And with the money they got, they did some activities for service. Yes, so these are all the authorization requirements. Now let's go to the evaluation requirements. So all the schools that are going in for evaluation will have to follow the PSP 2020, the Program Standards and Practices for 2020. And there are two places where there is mention of service as action. Okay, so if you go to standard 2, that is environment. Okay, under leadership and resources, standard 2020105, it says that school must allocate sufficient resources, whether it is staff or training or tools to support IB program. And services action is one of the requirements of the MYP. So you should have some resources for the MYP. Leaders are responsible for overseeing the curriculum, students, services action participation, and MYP projects. So you should have an in terms of human resource, you should have a services action coordinator. So that is what it means. Okay. Resources ensure that services action is well managed, supervised, integrated, and valuable for students. So you should have supervisors for your students. So that is what is said. The next standard is for learning. Okay, students as lifelong learners, standard 040205. The program cultivates flexible, determined, and confident students who positively impact their community, and the students must have annual opportunities to plan, execute, and reflect on their services action experiences. So over here too, they are talking about some activities for service where the students will reflect and they will plan and they will create a proposal. So if you look at this particular bilingual school, they have this services action calendar, and they have made proper plan of what they are going to do, right? So this, if you have this, then you fulfill the requirement of evaluation. Over here also, they have the learning outcomes, and they can check whichever learning outcomes that they meet because of that activity that they are doing. And here is a services action planning chart, that these are the charts that these are the things that the students will do as a part of services action. Okay, so this is a very good document to refer to. So this, Benjamin, is for you, okay, because you asked me some resources. Okay, so the 7 learning outcomes. If you want to have word to word service learning outcomes, then we have it here. Become more aware of your own strengths and areas of growth. So students will become more aware about their strengths and their areas of growth. Undertake challenges that develop new skills. What new skills can they learn during that activity? Discuss, evaluate, and plan student-initiated activities. I told you, so student-initiated activities are also required. Persevere in action. When you have those service activities, it has to be for quite a few months that they undertake. Okay, it cannot be a one-off activity. Okay, work collaboratively with others. So when you are doing those service activities, students should be working in groups. Develop international mindedness through global engagement, multilingualism, and intercultural understanding, and consider the ethical implications of your action. So these are the 7 learning outcomes, and based on these outcomes, you should be planning something for your students for service learning. And these particular questions will help the students to reflect on these particular learning outcomes. Okay, so you can take some questions from here for the reflection part of the service activity. So this is particular website. It's a guide for service as action, and this has been shared or written by Diane Smith. So if you go to the introduction over here, there are videos which you can watch. Okay, so this is very interesting and a really good resource. This link is also there in this presentation. I will be sharing the presentation with you. So yes, so what are the key takeaways for schools? That school must embed services action in the curriculum. It's a requirement. There has to be some way by which you can track the student involvement. Okay, and you are required to provide quality opportunities for the students to participate in services action. What must the students do? The students must plan, they should log, and they should reflect on their service activities. So that therefore, in order to do this, what you need to do is have this particular sheet. Okay, this particular sheet and the proposal sheet. Okay, the profile and the you in this other handbook there is a proposal sheet also, so you can look at these two handbooks and create your own services action handbook. And during authorization and evaluation, the focus should be on evidencing whatever engagement you have done, and if you have included all the students in that particular activity, and whether those service activities are aligned with the IB learning outcomes. Okay, it is not just completing hours. You don't have to look at how many hours are given in that service activity. It's mostly about how thoughtfully the students are engaged in the activity, whether these all students are included in those activities, and whether you are meeting the learning outcomes of service. Okay, so these requirements will ensure that your services action program is meaningful, it is embedded in your curriculum, and it makes the students, it gives the students an opportunity for growing. And it's not a requirement where you are ticking that, okay, student has done service activity for so many hours. Okay. The This is the particular resource, this one. It is given as a link here. And yeah, these are the other references from where you can get the information for this particular presentation. Okay. Any questions? I will stop sharing.